Hello, Jonathan Chandler at the Virginia School of Traditional Arts. Today we're going to show you how to make a tree spade or a dibble, which is this thing. This one's dirty. We're going to make ours out of a bush hog blade. Now the ones I've already started were bent up like a lawnmower blade at the end, and that's what we'll be using. This one is a different style, but this one would be used, we could use it too. These are the leavings of the ones I've already started, and I apologize, but I lost the footage for the initial part of this. I don't know what happened, but it didn't work. And so at this point we have this one. This one's been hand forged. This is the hand forged model. We're going to show you two models. One that I did all by hand with a hand hammer, and then one that we did with the power hammer, which is this one. And they'll look virtually the same. This one is a little bit more tapered because it's easier to taper it with the hand hammer or with the power hammer. But the shape, overall shape and dimensions are virtually the same. It's about 1 foot long and just under 4 inches wide. And if you're wanting to make this, the pipe that you'll see me use is 3/4 inch inside diameter pipe, which makes the outside just over 1 inch. And it's black pipe. We don't want to weld on galvanized pipe, so get you some black pipe. And you can buy that at any hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot, that kind of thing, in the plumbing section. Or any good metal shop will have it as well. And then we have welded on pieces this way, and then in the center. A lot of these you'll see that the upright is over here on one side, and it doesn't have two sides to it. I chose not to do that because I'm lazy. I don't want to have to spin it around. I may get tired with one leg and decide to use the other leg, and I don't want to have to move it around. This is relatively heavy. If I had to guess, probably 15 pounds, pretty easy. And we want it to be heavy. We want it to be well made because we're going to jam it in the ground. I'll show you all how to use it later. We'll plant a tree, and we're going to jam it in the ground and step on it and wiggle it back and forth so that we get us a good hole out so we can put our tree in. I made these a little longer than the normal ones that you see because I'm planting hardwood saplings, which have bigger roots, longer roots than the normal pine trees that we usually see in this area of Virginia. So my blades are a little longer than normal. Alright, what you're seeing me here is I am flattening out. There's a crease in this bush hog blade, and I've got it pretty hot, and I'm flattening out that crease by turning basically the crease up, the hollow down, and hitting the back of it. And I'm using a big hammer, probably a 4-pound sledgehammer there, 3 or 4 pounds, and I'm hitting it pretty hard. As you can see, my little anvil stand is taking a beating. And now I'm trying to use that big hammer to thin that edge, and that's not going to work good for me. I'm going to have to switch to a lighter hammer. That's way too big a hammer for me to try to control what I'm doing, and that's what I've done here, switched to a cross peen, probably a 2-pound cross peen. And I'm using the, I guess, kind of
because I wanted this not to be wide at the end, but to actually taper in both directions. Here I'm just cutting off the work stick using a cutoff wheel on a 4-inch grinder. I chose to weld the work stick on these pieces partly because I don't have any tongs that would hold this type of material. And secondly, even if I did, this is a heavy piece of material, hard to hold on to the tongs, and particularly under the power hammer. I want to be able to really get a hold of that thing and not let it fly away. I just cut a little bit of it through this. Here I'm just using the sanding wheel to grind off what's left of my weld. And it takes a few minutes to do that. Now I'm cutting off, I had a little piece of weld on the back of that work stick. I cut that off. Just sanded it up. And I'm going to put a chamfer on this with my grinder so that when I weld it onto my pipe.
In here I've got some hand hammer marks, bumpy marks. I'm going to try to smooth that out. The smoother this will be, the easier to go in the ground. Also, we're thinning it a little bit more with our grinder. And it don't have to be perfect, but we'll knock off any bumpy, real bumpy bumps. Come that straight across the front. I got a little wide spot here, I'll take that off as well. And I got a little corner, I'm going to nip that corner too. Now we're just going to go around it with a sand with this. Alright, so we got that straightened up. We're going to just run this on our belt grinder just to true up this side. It's a little chewed where it's been hitting the brush or whatever with the bush hog. got this edge more or less smooth. It's got one little carbuckle in it, but it's more or less straight. It's fat on one side and skinny on the other. We'll see how that works. I made the one I did on the power hammer. I focused on this with a few blows of the power hammer and made it thin down. But to move this thick of steel with a hand hammer is a lot of work, so I didn't do that on this one. We'll see if it makes any difference. This was bent like that originally, and I hammered it down, but it's still got some of that bend in it. And I'm going to leave it there because that's going to strengthen this tool from when we pry on it. It will never bend in this direction because of this crease in it. And it's on both sides. You can still see it's high on this side and low on this side. And so we're going to leave that in there. It's not in there much, but it's still in there. We could knock this little portion down here. That would help us go into the ground a little farther because it's going to want to come here and stop. But I think that's going to be deep enough. If we need to, we can always do that later with the hand grinders. I have chamfered the edge of this all the way around except this one little part where we cut off, and we're going to do that with this machine, and then that's going to give us a little place to weld into, so we have a little spot for our weld to go in, and it gets us closer to the center of our. This is on nearly 3/8, or probably just over 3/8. It'll get us closer to the center, so our MIG machine will be able to weld all the way in. I feel one little burr up here, and I'm going to knock that corner off. thinking about heating that side up and making it look like this side. I think it'll make it look cool. And there's other ways to cut pipe, but this is what I have easiest to use right now. Which we're plugged in. To get it a good weld on it. And I have other ones of these. If the pipe's a different size, you can do a different diameter. But since we have that, we're going to use that. Another method is to take and just flatten this end on your anvil. Take and just beat it down on the anvil and weld across straight. And that will work too. We're going to try this since I have our attachment. you make your two pieces that we're going to put on this line up so they're not twisty in the wrong spot. When you weld one on, you get you a flat piece of metal and put it on something here, or a piece of wood or anything, and you make you a flat place where you can hold this one to it, and it will make the roundness here match that. I'll show you. Same idea when you're welding, put something here that's going to keep this more or less flat. Sometimes it's got a little bob over where the weld was, but that's going to be close enough. I've got a mark on these where the center was, or I did.
Alright, here's how this gizmo works. You find your spot that you want your tree, stab it in the ground, step on it. What I do is just wiggle it back around and around. And if you feel it real strong, you can stab it in over and over again. The ground shouldn't be, but so hard. This thing's pretty sharp. The more you push on it, the easier it works. So hard ground is. the end